Hi guys, I'm going to be reviewing the video called The Tradwife Epidemic is Insane by Carl Mekris. It's about women who choose to be traditional wives. There's this movement of Tradwives. I only heard about it recently.
Oh, well, aren't you just prettier than a peach? Look at you. You look like a tall glass of sweet tea. I could just go. What was I talking about? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to...
Oh, one of the fakest humans I've ever seen. Wow, really disgusting. This is gonna be very painful to watch.
And if you don't know what a tradwife is, it is a neologism for traditional wife or traditional housewife. In recent Western culture, typically denotes a woman who believes in and practices patriarchal roles and marriages. Many tradwives believe that they do not sacrifice...
It's funny that it's called patriarchal, as if men used to oppress women. Women were not allowed to work back in the day, even though they actually had the privilege of not working. Work if you want to work, but most women today in matriarchies, as in the European Union, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, all of these messed up countries, don't even have the choice not to work anymore. And these tradwives, from what I understand, we'll see, are probably very glad that they can actually choose not to work, because very few have this capability, this benefit of not being able to work, because it is a huge benefit. Imagine that, not having to work. It's a dream.
Women's rights by choosing to take a homemaking role within their marriage. And apparently this tradwife life is becoming an epidemic of sorts.
Meet Nara Smith, model, wife of Lucky Blue Smith. Probably seen Nara on your FYP making cereal from scratch or documenting her family life in glamorous outfits. And those videos have gained her over 2 million TikTok followers.
Smith isn't a tradwife influencer. You're either a neoliberal capitalist feminist, you have internalized misogyny.
Everything that Nara Smith does in her videos is everything that the patriarchy has taught us to do as women.
Is this guy a misogynistic?
But how is that true? Because when these societies turned into matriarchies, that's when women started working. I also strongly recommend women to look at who pushed women to work and to leave their children with kindergartens and school for the government to raise your children. Who actually pushed this? I'm not going to say it on YouTube. Look into it. Believing that living in a matriarchy is somehow freeing, it's really funny to me, because it's just a really delusional belief.
Because he's a Mormon?
And they're beautiful, and they have this beautiful life. And then you scratch the surface a little bit, and you're like, why the f*** is she constantly cooking, like, things from scratch? And then you scratch the surface a little bit more, and you're like, oh my god, this is Mormon propaganda.
TikTok's tradwives are under attack because the internet thinks they're a plague to society.
These tradwives on social media are going to be the end of y'all. They are selling you a life and a dream that they do not even live.
So let's get into it. So like
I can understand not agreeing with the lifestyle, whatever, but how would it be the end of whatever she said, society or your life?
We're going to be peeling back the layers to this freshly backyard garden-grown onion known as tradwives. And I'll be giving my opinion about the whole ordeal because I find it fascinating and it's my channel and I can do what I want. So let's start with one of TikTok's most popular tradwives, Nara Smith. Nara Smith is a 23-year-old model slash influencer from South Africa and Germany that has amassed over 6 million TikTok followers and 2.7 million Instagram followers, and has captivated and divided TikTok with her elaborate cooking videos, which document the daily homemade meals she makes for her 3 children and her husband, 25-year-old model Lucky Blue Smith. Sick name. And for a little background, Nara...
Cool couple. They fit together. They have 3 children already. She's 23. That's great. Awesome. Make 7 more children at least. It sounds like they're living a great life. I don't like the food that she presented in the video. What was it? Pizza and some kind of... stuff with flour, which is super unhealthy, destroys the gut. Really don't feed it to your children. You're going to destroy their lives. If you feed that to your children with those kind of genetics, they have pretty good genetics, both of them, then they will look worse than you. And of course, if they have children and they feed them the same, they will look even worse, and so on. that's exactly how you destroy genes. If they would be feeding them an animal-based diet, I wouldn't have anything much bad to say about it at all.
Smith and Lucky Blue got married in February of 2020, and they've had 3 children since they've gotten married. And wait, you need to hear these names, okay? Names of the kids, okay? Rumble Honey, Slim Easy, and Whimsy Lou. What the Now, a lot of people on top of everything...
It is pretty uncommon names today. I'll give it to her. It's kind of funny.
Everything else are also criticizing her for her children's names, which, if you're on the internet, you're open to
If you should criticize the names of children, or one name at least, I don't know. Elon Musk, he has more children. The one child is called like what? XZZZ, something like that. Irgendwas, I wanted to say German. It's just not even a name. What is that even? It's just some kind of a code. It's just... Elon Musk and Grimes are just, it's the stupidest and funniest couple ever. Elon Musk creating cars which are driving microwaves, and then Grimes super brainwashed into technology. It was just the perfect couple, the perfect 2 humans to find each other, super lost in their technology, and then they create such a child. And then they had another, well, they didn't have another child because the second child was... through a surrogate, which is not a child by my definition whatsoever. I get that people want to call it that, but you're not the mother.
Criticism and everything. I think with those names, you are set up to succeed in life. Like, you cannot fail in life with those names. You either have to be a CEO, a high fashion designer, or like a Disney princess. I don't know, but I'm here for it. And Lucky, her husband, also has another daughter named, wait for it, Gravity Blue. What? From a previous relationship with model Stormy B. All these people have substantially cooler names than me, and it makes me upset. So I kind of get where people are coming from. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
These names are kind of irrelevant at the end of the day. It doesn't matter naturally, but maybe it's just that these people are longing for a so-called time, which is not around anymore. Not that time exists, but in the sense that they probably looked at whatever movies, maybe even some kind of articles from back in the day, and saw how life used to be, how everything used to be better. And even though it wasn't natural, traditional doesn't mean natural, obviously, it was a lot closer to nature, because traditions have nothing to do with nature as such, but these traditions come from nature. And a traditional wife is a lot closer to a natural wife. Not that there are wives in nature, but you get what I mean. Just when it comes to men and women, she would be a lot more natural than the women of today, obviously. And men and women are longing for this. It's understandable.
It doesn't actually make me upset, but I think their names are cool, and let's keep moving forward, because we're not even scratching the surface yet. Now, to start, a lot of people are judging Nora Smith for just being a young mom, having all 3 of her kids by the age of 23. And
how is that a young mom? I get it, for today's standards, that's a young mom, but naturally, that's an old mom. Literally, that's what... Okay, I don't know when she had her first child. Okay. But if she had her first child at 20 or so, by natural terms, that's very abnormal. It's actually that never happens in nature. It's actually impossible. In nature, if you would start having children at 20, you would be seen as the most abnormal woman on earth. I literally mean it. The same as for a guy, of course.
More so because she comes from a Mormon background. And for those of you who don't know, Mormons are a religious group that embrace concepts of Christianity as well as revelations made by their founder, Joseph Smith.
Mormons actually have some pretty good values. In some cases, just in some. I've read a lot about Mormonism. I can agree with some of it. Then again, every religion has some kind of truth to it.
I'm not in any way a hardcore Mormon or anything like that. And she added that she doesn't wear garments, a specific type of underwear worn by Mormons, and didn't get married in a temple either. So she's kind of, like loose Mormonism. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter because it's her business, all right? She says both me and my husband are on our...
Yes, it's all her business, and I just don't understand why anybody would attack her or whatever happened to her, because she had 3 children by the age of 23, which is abnormal by today's standards, maybe, as I said, which is super strange. That says everything about our society. If that's seen as having children young, then it just says everything. Our society is completely ruined. Has been for a while already. has to be anyway, by default. Societies are a natural... Societies cannot work. How can a society work? What was she supposed to do instead? Have a career? Work in an office? Or what? I don't get it. Be a slave to the government? If she's a model, she already makes money based on her looks. He also does. Their children will probably also then, if they don't feed them pizza and dough. What exactly is the problem? I just don't get it. Why would you... It's strange.
Our own journeys and figuring out how we want to raise our kids. Fair enough. Don't understand why people are pissed about that. It seems innocent enough to me, but that's not all. And like I said before, people are heavily judging her as well because she had kids so young and thinking that Lucky Blue, her husband, had kind of forced that on her or pushed her to do that. But she would go on to debunk.
What do you mean? That makes no sense. Why are you together with somebody? As in, why do you get intimate with somebody? It's only to have children. Is there another purpose to it? Why does an animal reproduce with another animal? It's only to have children. Her having children with a guy was just a natural outcome of being intimate with him. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to judge her for that. Judging is all normal and good. We should be judging always. It simply means that you form an opinion about something, somebody, and then express it. That's good. It's freedom of speech. Totally normal. But if she's implying that they somehow attacked her for it, which is, I think, what she's implying, then it's strange. She found the guy attractive, obviously. He found her attractive, and that's why they had children. That's just what happens when you find somebody attractive and you become intimate. You reproduce. It's animal nature. What exactly would they attack? It's so strange, man.
Those claims.
I've always wanted to be a young mom because growing up, my dad would always tell us that he regrets having kids later in life. So I took that advice, and it's one of the best decisions I could have made.
Exactly. And that's perfect advice from the parents. Really good parents. Absolutely, bravo. Absolutely, just great. That's exactly what I would tell my children. Have children as young as possible.
And I know it's not for everyone.
And I respect that, man. It's her life. It's her choice. And she seems really happy with those decisions from what we can see anyway. Do I have a hair on my lip? How unladylike. Sorry. But what's really pissing people off to no end, specifically pissing off other moms and other single women around the world, is the fact that this monster, Nara Smith, cooks her family meals and snacks from scratch on a daily basis and has the audacity, okay? The audacity to shove it in our faces on a public platform. What?
That's the part about being a traditional wife, which has nothing to do with a natural so-called relationship. And that's simply because in nature, an animal is killed by the man. He brings the animal home and then they eat it. Sure, maybe in some cases, once the animal is on the ground, the woman will, in whatever way, cut it up, but there's no knives in nature. There's not really any way that this would happen, but maybe in some so-called societies, in some tribes, the woman would somehow prepare the food. Or if there's very little food, once people started cooking, which was not that long ago, she would have made a soup out of the bones. Maybe something like that. Okay, that I can understand, but realistically, 99% of the time, you bring the animal back home, the so-called home, you put it on the floor and everybody's eating it raw, drinking the blood and so on, the organs. There's tons of videos of this out there of people doing that. There's no woman preparing food in the kitchen. There's no kitchen, there's no baking, there's no cooking. You just eat the animals raw as they are. And really, if anything, it's the man serving the food for the women and the children. It's really the man doing it. This idea of a wife cooking in the kitchen, baking cakes and cooking noodles is garbage. There's nothing to do with nature.
My husband has been loving Snickers bars, and when he was craving one today, I just decided to make him a batch myself. My sister's in town to visit, and she's been craving bubblegum so bad, but she...
Don't get me wrong. It's great that she cares about her husband and her children, that she's doing all of the work. I get it. And the way we live nowadays, this is great. But I'm just saying that the traditional wives don't necessarily have much to do with so-called natural wives. Again, not that there are wives in nature.
Ran out, so I just decided to make it for her. When I asked my toddlers what they wanted for lunch, they both wanted a grilled cheese, so that's exactly what I got started on. Toddlers requested some yogurt this morning, and we were running low, so I just decided to make it myself.
If you didn't understand it before, I was being
It's great to make the food yourself if you're eating that anyway. She would have to learn what humans are naturally supposed to eat, but seeing as she doesn't understand that, it's still way better to cook it yourself. I don't get what you would attack her for. Even if you eat something as horrible as pizzas, wouldn't it be better to make the pizza yourself instead of buying some frozen pizza? Everybody would have to agree with that. I haven't seen anything so far which you should attack her for.
sarcastic, okay? But I will play the devil's advocate in this, because it is quite literally just me here and I need to play both sides. I do see where some people are getting annoyed by her videos. Upset or angry, I don't understand that, but like maybe slightly annoyed, maybe. Because Nara Smith will usually start out her videos with this aesthetic and soothing intro along the lines of this. My toddlers woke me up this morning requesting PB&J sandwiches for breakfast, so I got right to work, starting with making the bread, peanut butter, and jelly from scratch. And if you think I'm embellishing, I'm not even a little bit. Here's an example.
This morning, my toddler stumbled into my room, and her first words were PB&J, so that's exactly what I got started on. Growing up,
Again, it's great that she's making it herself. Are those raw eggs? That would be great. Of course, you should learn about food, and if you want your children to be as healthy and pretty as you are, then you should feed them a lot of animal fat, organs ideally, but if not organs, then a lot of eggs, ideally raw eggs from very healthy animals, of course. They have to be good quality. Otherwise, you will get food poisoning. Feeding your children peanut butter sandwiches with jam is, of course, super unhealthy. Peanut butter is full of anti-nutrients, aflatoxins, very hard on your gut, really destroys the gut of children. Jam only has sugar, it's just heated up fructose, super horrible for you. Upcoming diabetes, it's all terrible, but if she would create some of that herself, it would still be better. I still don't get why anybody would attack her for creating the food herself instead of buying some packaged plastic garbage.
Loved having fresh bread. It was one of my favorite things, so I started by making a really simple sandwich.
Bread is one of the worst things that you could possibly eat, but still better to make it yourself, of course. Why would you judge her for that? In the sense that it sounds like they are attacking her. Why would you get annoyed by that? You are at work? It's just jealousy, right? You're at work, miserable, and then you, in your break, watch this video of her being with her children at home, and your children are in kindergarten or school getting brainwashed. She's taking care of her children. She has free time. She's living the life. In our society, it doesn't really get much better than that. It's still slavery, but it's pretty great compared to how most people live. And then why would you attack her for that? Only because you're jealous. She's making her own bread and you're eating the garbage bread that you find in the canteen or whatever. There's no other reason to attack her except if you're jealous of her life.
Bread with some yeast, water, salt, sugar, and flour. Kneaded that until a dough formed and then...
Way less ingredients than what you find in the store. Garbage, but still better.
And then let that dough rise for about 2.
It looks like she even makes her own jam. Bad, but still way better than what you can buy in the store.
Hours until it doubled in size.
So a lot of the comments on these videos are positive. She does have a very large positive fan base as well as a...
Of course, because what she's doing is completely correct. If you actually have people who hate on her for doing that, then I'm not even going to say anything.
Negative fan base, as we all do, But the reason people are criticizing her so much is because the food that the toddlers request often takes about 2 to 10 hours to prepare. So people are just going at her in the comments saying how unrealistic that is. It's kind of funny. And also they're outraged by the fact...
It doesn't take that long. You can take tons of breaks in between. But again, if you would say that, then it's only because you have no free time yourself. It's again jealousy.
But, and that's a big but, mate, she's making it from scratch, dude.
I love how she talks British. I know why, pot's lovely.
If that's not love, I don't know what is. And I'm sure a majority of other people would be so...
Yeah, it's because of the way the guy looks like. Of course, she actually fell in love with him biochemically, because you can fall in love with him.
So over the moon if our mothers or fathers took the time out of their day to make us something from scratch, who had the luxury of time to make us something from scratch, which I know a lot of our parents didn't, and probably a lot of parents don't nowadays, and that's where the outrage comes from. Therein lies the problem for so many of these people just ragging on Nara. In simple terms, they're just jealous. They're jealous.
Absolutely. I'm glad that she came to the same conclusion, because that's the only conclusion that you can come to.
Of the fact that she shows off her cooking, that she promotes alleged tradwife behavior, giving birth and feeding her family, looking good and creating a work-life balance, all while becoming
Yeah, she's literally doing everything that women want, whether they realize it or not. Sure, some women who are not attractive, especially who cannot get a guy, who are working all day long, will leave these jealous comments and whatnot, but they all want the same. How could you not want that? Some women who are in their 30s, who regret not having children earlier, will attack her for having children, for having 3 children at 23. But it's not early to have children. What else are you supposed to do when you're attractive? The reason you're attractive and fertile as a young woman is to attract somebody to you to reproduce with. And what else was she supposed to do? She's literally following her body's nature.
Successful on the internet by working and making money for her family. Terrible. She's a terrible human being. This is satire. If you don't understand when I'm being sarcastic, I'm being sarcastic right now. So what I'm trying to say is just like everything everybody argues about is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. People are just comparing themselves to her way too much. It's a different life, baby, okay? And in my personal opinion, she's kind of badass. And I'm sure a lot of you do agree with me. Like, she's not doing any harm. She's just showing how she shows love to her family, which she mentions in almost every video, because I feel like she feels like she needs to put a disclaimer that she actually likes to cook for her husband and kids, and she's not made to cook for them, which I understand some tradwives probably are, and they're probably in a worse situation. But I think Nara Smith is under fire for the wrong reasons. And I think this is making some people around the world feel inadequate in their homes, and they're just voicing that and taking it out on her page, which is, I mean, that's with like every influencer. You see someone doing something that you wish you could do, or that you think they're making you feel bad for not doing, and it's very easy to just take it out on them. But that's not the case here.
So this right now is just colostrum. Her milk hasn't come in. Dairy cows, they produce more than enough colostrum for their calf.
Today we are making some Rocky Road ice cream. This is the buttermilk. So buttermilk, all the butter fat.
This looks even better. She has her own animals. She can get raw milk from them. Hopefully that's what she gives to her children.
That separates. What we have left over from the cream is called buttermilk. Awesome, Mom. Tiny little chunks of fresh butter.
Now, I'd say out of the 2 tradwives we're talking about today, Ballerina Farm, aka Hannah Nealman, is the most hated, unfortunately. And I'll give you the deets as to why, and we can get into it, whether that's true or not. So to give you a little background, Nealman is a millennial mother of 8. Damn! Anyway, she has 3 sons and 5 daughters who live with her husband, Dan.
This looks great. A family of 8. Just awesome.
Hannah Nealman, drama started to surface once people found out that her father-in-law, David Nealman, is the owner and founder of 5 different aviation companies like JetBlue, Azul, and Breeze Airways. Basically saying that her family has a crazy amount of money. People are calling out Ballerina Farms right now for faking her simple farm lifestyle. This led critics to saying that her life is simply not as tough as other farmers.
So as the clip mentioned,
there is no such thing as a simple farm life, in the sense that you usually need a lot of money to start a farm, or of course if you inherited the farm, then you don't. But if that was not the case, obviously if she was a ballerina and did whatnot, then she had already money herself anyway. But either way, what exactly is the problem here? If her family has a lot of money, then good for her. Good that she got the money to start a farm. That's what a lot of people want.
It came to light that Ballerina Farms was not all that she seemed. What? An influencer romanticizing their life to be more aesthetic and pleasing to watch for the viewer? I can't believe it. Nothing like that's ever happened before. So people would start to dig, and they would find that Hannah and her family were not the Little House on the Prairie family that they were presenting on the internet. And I don't know if it was the, $32,000 oven and range behind her in almost every video that gave it away, or the fact that she lives on an expansive acreage with a family of 10 with dozens of farm animals.
Seriously, what do people imagine where this comes from? Nobody can afford this kind of a life. Why would this be something to point out? It's as if you're pointing out that somebody is driving around in a Mercedes and lives in this huge mansion, and then they make an exposed video of them having a lot of money. But that's what you already saw in the video. People don't seem to understand how expensive animals are, the land, having so many children. That's not so expensive, but still it's something. How can you not get it?
On top of that controversy, though, came another controversy that she had the audacity to squeeze into a pageant dress only weeks after giving birth to her 8th child.
This is her 12 days postpartum. She just had her 8th child, and now she's preparing to be in a pageant. People are saying that normal postpartum woman, you shouldn't idolize this. It's not realistic. 12 days postpartum, which a lot of doctors and nurses will argue that you can't even work out your first 6 weeks postpartum, and she's already doing it 12 days. A lot of women are still in bed 12 days postpartum. Other moms are saying, can we just support her? Postpartum's already difficult. I'm a mother of 6. I have a newborn in my arms, but I know how much the body needs to rest, but she's fulfilling her role for Mrs. America. She needs our support. This is her trying on dresses 12 days postpartum.
And I think it's hilarious how this is even considered controversy. I think people on the internet are just
literally only jealousy. What else is it?
And the comments on the video just kind of prove my point. And amidst all the controversies, Hannah doesn't actually address her haters in any way, shape, or form. She doesn't engage with the discourse, and she doesn't try to clear the air about anything. She just continues to make bread, post her videos of her dancing and living her life with her kid, which I think is great. Don't feed the haters, you know? But I can respect...
It's actually way more likely that she has no idea about those so-called haters. And that's simply because if you're content with your life, you're happy and healthy, you have a lot of children, you have a farm, a loving husband, and so on, why would you then ever even really spend much time online? She probably lets somebody else make the videos for her. She only films them. Realistically, she probably doesn't even spend any time online. Maybe this girl doesn't understand that people would do that, but come on. It's that she has no idea about these people. It must be the case.
To the fact that she is clearly living a life of extreme privilege, but I wouldn't say that she's flaunting it or shoving it down our throats like a lot of other influencers do on a daily basis.
Where do I even start?
I'm only 9 years old, but I'm richer than all y'all broke-ass haters.
Yes, the blood money collection is here.
Some women exist online and in life, just living life more traditionally than others, or not, and I think women should stop comparing and contrasting against them and just take it at face value. There's not necessarily a conspiracy behind all this tradwife stuff. I think it's really just women living their lives and also working, making money, which inherently isn't a very tradwife thing to do, but I think people should stop comparing themselves to people online in general.
I'm pleasantly surprised about this video. From the title, I assumed that this will be a video against Tradwives, but she was very fair towards them, so to speak. She realized that a lot of these people are simply jealous. It has to be like that because, as I said, if you're happy and healthy, more or less as much as you can be today, if you're content with your life, then you're not going to sit online leaving hate comments or whatever they get, whatever she said, creating drama. People who are happy and healthy don't want drama. They don't need it in their lives. The last one, who's on her farm with a lot of children, she doesn't need that in her life. She doesn't want that, which is why she would never even engage with those kind of people. And she probably understands that. Think about it. You're living on your farm, you have your animals, as I said, a lot of children, a big family. You have love around you in everyday life. You love what you do, you love your life. Would you then go and look at people who make videos about your lifestyle and they don't agree with it? Would you ever? No, of course not. You would never even engage with those people. That's why you gotta understand the perspective from these people, these women who are jealous that they had children younger than them, they regret not having children back then, maybe that they generally look prettier than them if they were models and whatnot, Miss whatever she was, youth or whatever. Sure, yeah, totally, you could feel jealous because of that. They have these lives in general. We can assume a loving husband. If they look good, then the husband, of course, loves them and they love the husband back. They have a lot of children, as I said. Even the food that they eat is still a lot better. They have a lot of free time to create the food also. Their lives, compared to the lives of these miserable people, just seem way better. That's why they leave those comments or whatever they do. And these people probably get it. That's why I like this video. She actually more or less understood that. She gets where they are coming from, that they really just want a more so-called traditional life, which, as I said, is not a natural life, but it's a life closer to nature, which is what everybody wants in the end anyway. And if you can't have that, if you're very enslaved, you gotta work all of the time, if you're not attractive, you can't find a so-called partner, if you're infertile because of your horrible diet and so on, then you will feel jealous, of course. Thanks for watching.